Hello, I'm Brian Cruz, founder and CEO of New Sapience. Welcome to our Synthetic Intelligence 101 course. This is session 7, Applications and Markets. In our last session, session 6 was about scalability for artificial intelligence. Scalability has been the doom of traditional AI, both the first and second waves, meaning that after a while, more and more effort and development effort or resources poured into the application produced less and less response. And we discussed how by taking a completely revolutionary approach to the whole enterprise of AI, we've solved that problem at New Sapience. Not only solved the scalability issue, but did it by orders of magnitude. And that opens up a whole new world of practical applications with more and more intelligence and capability, and not decades from now, but just around the corner. In this session, we'll talk about our roadmap and our plan to bring this amazing technology into the world. We will review the markets for Sapience. We will discuss how Sapience will disrupt the chatbot industry, which has gotten so much publicity these days, and that includes large language models like GPT-3. Then we'll go on to our basic business model, our revenue models, look at a valuation comparison, and then discuss our B2C and B2B planned products. Synthetic knowledge is essentially an entirely new way to program computers. And although it has no direct competition, the end goal of what we can do with synthetic knowledge overlaps the goal that people have always set for AI, but never reached. If you look at the existing markets that are already there, and we're just talking about existing markets, not the many new markets that the availability of this technology will create, we find that there's already huge markets: industrial automation, business automation, robotics, and of course, chatbots, natural language processing. The first and obvious market that we will disrupt is natural language processing, or commonly known as chatbots. What does it mean to disrupt an industry? It means that we will significantly alter the way that everyone uses the technology in these spheres, such that it'll sweep away the old ways of doing things. What does that mean? It means that technologies, applications like ChatGPT, maybe not just disappear or go away, but will be reduced to a very narrow application, for instance, as a writing aid. Anything else that it can do using language, Sapience will be able to do so much better because they know what the words mean. They have knowledge of the world and will get smarter and smarter with more and more knowledge and more processing code. But again, it will happen rapidly because the technology is so compact. We don't need 10,000 people. It's hard to imagine what we can accomplish when with even 100 people. The technology is so compact. Here's an example of what that would look like. Suppose you go to your bank app and you pull it up, and immediately you're met by the bank's Sapien, which is your personal banker who knows you by name, immediately pulls up your account situation, remembers the last time you talked, knows you personally, and never forgets any previous conversation that you've ever had with it. And you can ask it in simple English right then and there, any kind of question that you have for it about your banking needs. And of course, this is the same for any industry, any kind of store, any kind of customer interaction, help, technical support, anything. It will completely change the nature of interacting between humans and machines. Now, we talked about NLP today and chatbots today. So here's a case study. McDonald's is trying to use chatbots to automate their drive-thrus. You would think, well, that's a pretty narrow application. That ought to be doable even with chatbots. Well, it turns out to be way harder than they thought. And they've already invested $600 million buying NLP or chatbot development companies in order to get the job done. And they've got maybe 85%, they can get it right about 85% of the time. But here, like we said, and if you recall, or saw the last episode, the last session, when we talked about scalability, they're on the flat part of the curve. They can get to 85% accuracy, but to get to 90% accuracy, they may need to put 10 times, 20 times more resources, and that resources in the end aren't even available. By contrast, from where we are today, New Sapiens could solve that problem comprehensively in a very short time for a very little bit of money, maybe a year and $1 million. So our business model, we are both a products company and a platform company. We will take our synthetic knowledge platform and we will build it on specific problems for businesses and consumers. At the same time, we will license that platform for third parties to build their own applications. Consumer products, we'll get into them in more detail, but they will be offered as software as a service. Basically, we're talking about your own companion Sapien, which will run on your smartphone and starts off as kind of a super app to replace all your personal information management. It becomes your auxiliary memory for everything you do and everything you need to recall, just talking to it. And with time, it will become more and more knowledgeable about the world and human needs, wants, and desires, and more intelligent, and have more access to general knowledge as we continue to build that core model that all Sapiens have when they first turned on. Commercial products, we call them Pro Sapiens, and they're customized for individual market verticals by putting expert knowledge of that industry into them. Beyond that, of course, once a company acquires a Pro Sapien for their industry, they can teach it and educate it and customize it endlessly. We'll also license our platform, as we said, to people to develop their own applications, both individual developers and corporate developers, for a wide range of knowledge of applications that focus on expert knowledge to enhance people's lives, either in their pursuit of their vocations or in the pursuit of their professions. There will be, at least early on, as we license our platform, we obviously will provide the training and application development support and until the world learns how to use this new way of programming computers. And finally, one that is also very exciting is that we will have a knowledge store so that anyone who has expert knowledge or personal knowledge that they want to share with the world can create using our toolkit, or just by, in some cases, just talking to their Sapiens, and then upload that module, that block of knowledge to our online store to sell to others. So it's our goal to put this technology in the hands of everybody who programs computers and products that will enhance everybody who uses computers. So again, the models of the markets here are truly colossal. So we will get revenues from individuals, the companion Sapien, consumers, from businesses, from the knowledge plugins, platform licenses, as well as robotic applications, which we'll talk a bit more about those. So B2C is basically the companion Sapiens. It itself is a platform because it's endlessly customizable and can be customized for each individual's needs. Of course, we don't have settled on the final pricing, but we're thinking that you will have a companion Sapiens on your phone and you will pay a subscription service, maybe $10 to $12 a month, in that range. Total addressable market for the companion, of course, is equal to the number of internet users, which is 4.6 billion, or more specifically, although you could use it without a cell phone by going directly to the web. Mobile device users, there are 4 billion of them on the planet. And even in the US market, there's almost 300 million smartphone users. This is huge markets. And obviously, to do the math, you don't have to have a very significant market penetration to generate lots and lots of revenue. So we anticipate that the companion platform, while it starts off maybe the initial one as sort of an auxiliary memory, we will soon add enhancements, optional enhancements, to turn it into a wide variety of other applications. For instance, a personal secretary managing your schedule, your phone calls, your email. Basically, the idea of the personal secretary is you give your Sapience with that module its own email address and its own phone number, and you give out your Sapience phone number and email to your contacts, and so people go through it before they get to you. That's one I really could use. I think we'd all love that one. But beyond that, if we endow a module specifically for someone who has health issues, we can download the caregiver module, which is comes with a great depth of medical knowledge, both health issues and medications, diseases, and also how the medical system works. Of course, the medical system, as we know today, is likely to be transformed when people have Sapience and the medical service providers also have Sapience. The librarian keeps tracks of your files and your pictures and your videos. You'll never forget where you put a file on your computer again. You won't even need to worry about it where it is. Your librarian plugin will take care of that for you. The home technician is the thing that will truly make the smart house smart by interfacing with all the home automation devices without you having to set it all up or worry about all the different user interfaces. And if you've already gotten into some of the smart home things that we have out there now, you find that it's pretty much bedlam. They're trying to make standards, but things don't talk well to each other. Not at all, and it's really a source of frustration. The home technician, when you have true intelligence and knowledge of devices and their interfaces and their protocols, all that fades into the background for you. You just tell your Sapience what you want. And finally, there'll be any number of hobby and professional plugins to help you with your work and your play. So the companion Sapience is really a robust ecosystem of knowledge-based applications, similar to what Apple has achieved on the iPhone with their applications platform. In fact, it too will be on the iPhone and eventually the other smartphones as well. So what is the appeal then of the companion Sapience? I think it's obvious, but it will truly change in a fundamental way the way we interact with other digital devices and applications. It'll be our buffer, your intelligent buffer between all other digital technologies. It will change how you use the internet. It won't be long in terms as the Sapiens get higher and higher in their general intelligence and their language comprehension, that anytime you would ordinarily Google something, you would ask that question of your Sapiens, and it will go and get the answer from its trusted sources, from the internet, from whatever. And unlike when you do the same with ChatGPT, it won't make stuff up. It'll really understand, and will have a great deal of discernment to be able to identify authoritative sources, because it will have discernment and judgment like people do, but it'll do it lots faster. And of course, it will change how we buy things. In fact, this aspect is maybe one of the most disruptive elements and immediately apparent to change the world. And that when you want to buy something, of course, this is what Amazon was going for with Alexa, but never got there. But now, when you want to buy something, you tell your Sapiens that you want to buy something, and it knows your preferences, it knows your taste, it knows a lot about it, and you can give it detailed instructions about what specifically you want this time. Then, as Sapiens proliferate between both consumers and businesses, it can connect to all the other Sapiens out there who are basically representing the products or the services that match what it knows you want. And based on that, it can connect you directly either to the sellers, if there's advertising material that you would like to watch, your Sapiens will queue that up for you. Or it might just say, here's what I found, this is what you want. So what does that mean? It means you won't have to go to the web and to find products that you need. And so there'll be no motivation for the big tech companies to put all that clickbait out there and to create algorithms that drive you to spend more and more time on your devices. So that is, and those algorithms have been really just wreaking havoc on our society and are blamed for rising rates of teenage depression and suicide, as well as this very distressing tendency toward radical partisanship that we've been seeing divide our society. So this is huge. and the way we connect with people. Again, it's not the intention of the companion sapient to be your companion to the extent that you don't need humans. In fact, it will be designed and programmed to help you connect with the people that you need and want to connect with, when and where you want to connect with them. In that sense, you can tell your sapiens, it's like, imagine a super incredibly powerful answering machine that if some old friend of yours or anybody wants to discuss something and they contact your sapiens, and you could have left messages or pictures or discussions of things that you want to share with your friends, and people can go and just talk to your sapiens and see what's my friend up to, without connecting directly. So you see what it becomes, and it's an alternative to social media. It will disrupt social media in the same way it's going to disrupt advertising media. Pretty amazing. And of course, the way we work. So we'll have expert knowledge. Suppose you're a lawyer, and you have the legal assistant plugin on your personal sapiens, in which it always keeps up with all the latest legal briefs or latest regulation changes, and it's like having a built-in research assistant on your shoulder. And yes, of course, the existence of B2B sapiens will bring a new level of automation. Will it take jobs? Well, if it does, it will start with the tedious and boring low-level jobs that are not sought after. As far as doing the jobs that people want to do, they're not designed to replace people doing jobs they love, but to enhance them and to make them more productive and take out the tedium and boredom and opportunity to make mistakes. So we envision that the companion will be given by parents to their children early on, maybe wrapped in, contained inside of a furry toy or something, and it will be your child's playmate and tutor and guardian, kind of a super child monitor, because it's a connected device after all. And it will go through life. It will become, it will grow in sophistication, and it will later that sapiens becomes your colleague and your companion and assistant, and all the way through your life. As you get old, it's there to reminisce with you, to become a biographer of your life, and even after you pass, your companion sapiens will live on. Imagine being able to talk to your great-great-grandmother sapiens and learn everything what life was about in her day and what she was like, because your sapiens will have very, very personal knowledge, because they'll be there with you all the time. It's hard to sum all the world-changing impacts of this technology on our personal lives. On the business side, sapiens, all the sapiens, by the way, are really all built in the same core. The only real difference between the companion sapiens and the pro-sapiens is that companion sapiens are focused on the individual, which we call its principle, which is there to help that individual as directed and as desired, to help the individual achieve whatever goals they have. The pro-sapiens basically the same, except their principle is not an individual human, but a corporate entity. And there again, they'll function then as sort of a virtual employee in support roles, or in some cases, independent roles. And as well as the opportunity, in case it's extensible, you can embed sapiens into proprietary systems, complicated things like spacecraft or things like that. And as well as having opportunity for companies, but proprietary knowledge of their own into the automation of their own internal business processes, without fearing that they're going to lose expertise or knowledge through attrition, as you do with human employees. Again, huge markets. Natural language market is anticipated to go to 142 billion. However, we will disrupt that market, and we will end up having a huge part of it. Natural language processing won't be a thing anymore, because it's going to be just comprehension of language, the way humans do. So it's not really any different. Industrial automation, again, huge, getting bigger. Business process automation. We will bring, these will still be huge markets, but of course we'll bring a degree of orders of magnitude more efficiency into these markets. And of course, many of the revenue will come to us. Licensing, we basically, for commercial licensing, would be looking at annual subscription pricing and per unit royalties. For instance, if someone is taking our Sapience and wrapping their own app around it, like say, like a bank might. Personal licenses to individual software developments who go out and develop apps, knowledge-based apps now. They're now Sapient applications or Sapience role models or plugins. And professional licenses for people who either work for a company or freelancing would probably be priced on the order of Microsoft Office or the Adobe Suite, several $100s a year. Of course, that's all notional. We won't have all those kind of pricing fixed until we get there. And as far as licensing to big tech, this is a must-have technology to big tech. And they will pay anything to have it. But we understand that we will and do need to make it available to them, but those licenses will be negotiated on a case-by-case basis, but they won't be cheap because it's so important. And finally, robots. I mean, it's very a no-brainer that you want to take the Sapience and you want to put it into the brain of a robot, and for the first time, truly have multi-purpose robots. Already, I'm surprised already the consumer robot market is so large, but the industrial robots have been around. But these are kind of robots in name only up to date because they're not flexible. You can't really tell them what to do. The industrial robots are usually bolted to the floor and do the same thing over and over again. Tesla, of course, is excited that they might be able to make humanoid robots, and they probably will be able to do that to a certain extent, and they probably will be able to be on the factory floor and be a little bit more flexible, but still only going to be able to do repetitive tasks again and again and again. They don't really have any real knowledge or understanding of what it is they're doing or the world, and they have no common sense. Tesla also envisions that such humanoid robots might be household robots, like Rosie the robot in your kitchen. But that seems to be kind of an unreachable dream, because the way they're anticipating programming is with language models and generative AI models. And as we already see, these things have no common sense, and they require greater and greater amounts of data and training to improve their performance. So do you really want something in your kitchen handling hot stoves and sharp knives that has no common sense? I don't think so. So I would not be a bit surprised if Tesla and others could build humanoid robots capable of doing the physical activities and having the sensors and the capabilities of vision to be able to recognize objects around them. But they will have to come to New Sapience to get the brains for them, because we're the only one who has it. So what's a company like this worth? Like New Sapience worth with this kind of technology? Well, there's no comparables, of course, because nobody does what we do, and no one has the size of the markets, and no one has the scalability to penetrate those markets with relatively insignificant amounts of investment compared to what imitative AI has already consumed. But here's a company, Hugging Face. They're relatively new. They started off to build a social chatbot and decided that they could take their development environment for chatbots, for NLP, and make it as a platform. And they've gone, they're now up to a Series C funding after just a few years, five or 6 years. And they currently have a $2 billion valuation. So the market and the investment community values this market very, very highly. So what are the fundamentals here? We have vast total addressable markets, excellent gross margins, when you consider, again, how compact it is, how a team of 100 person can do more than 10,000 people could do with Alexa. So our development costs are not high. And then once it's done, it runs in a cell phone. We don't need to maintain giant server farms to train and operate these things. Again, ChatGPT costs, I don't know, $3 million a day just to operate. We don't have to pay anything to operate it because people are going to own the hardware that it runs on. So our gross margins are going to be huge. So of that, if it's $12 a month, the vast majority of that is going to go right to our bottom line. And clearly, we have no credible competition out there, not today and not in the foreseeable future. Eventually, when we get out there, we'll license our stuff, but to others, but those are customers, not competitors. It'll be very difficult for someone to reproduce, to follow the path that we took. If you saw the origins session, talk about the unique odyssey of discovery and innovation that it took to create this technology, going in a direction that was basically 180 degrees away from what everybody else does. Big tech is going to have quite a struggle to try to figure that out before anybody comes back with anything that is any credible competition. So we have a great, great head start. Thank you. In our next session, next to last, we'll talk about the risks, both of New Sapience as a company. What risk do we face to bring the technology to market and to be successful and to accelerate our growth, as well as the technology itself. There's a lot of talk today about the dangers of AI and the dangers of AGI, or artificial general intelligence, that we're creating. We'll discuss those. And as it turns out, the dangers of AI today is not because they're intelligent, it's because we're not intelligent at all. When you are dealing with a true intelligence, there are ways that we can guarantee that as it gets smarter and smarter and more capable, it will always end up working for us, and we will never end up working for it. Thank you for your time and attention today. And in the meantime, please check out our online resources, newsapience.com, mysapience.com, which gives an insight into our first commercial product, the companion Sapience, my technology blog site, Forward to the Future, and our YouTube channel, where you will find, well, you already know about YouTube channel because you're watching this, probably watching this video on that right now.